My name is Lisa, and I'm an internal support coordinator with WEX FSM. And I wanted to welcome you all today to the session of Solution Studio that is on Profit Rhino flat rate best practices. And we did the regular price book yesterday. And so we're going to work on Profit Rhino today. Um, if you missed the regular price book, you can always go back into the Solution Studio recordings and review that as well, where some of you've already gone back and done that. We had some people that were coming in a little bit at the end yesterday, so they didn't get to see the whole thing. So we always upload those so that you can review them. So let's get started. Let's go in and move over to my other screen. Okay. So as I mentioned yesterday, we have three different price books. We have the regular price book, we have the flat rate price book, and we have the QuickBooks item list. And we went over the regular price book and the QuickBooks item list yesterday in the other video. Today we're going to concentrate on the flat rate price book. And the flat rate price book is a great tool, especially if you don't want to build your own price book. You're out there doing work, you're trying to make money. Sometimes you don't have time to reinvent the wheel. And we already have this in here available to you. So it's a good option. So depending on your type of business that you do, you could have one or all of these different books. Okay. And so when you sign up, you get to choose, and whatever your business is, it will add these in here for you. And so the nice thing about Profit Rhino is that it's big. It covers a lot of things, and Profit Rhino will go out and collect information throughout the industries on, and I'm using air quotations here, the industry standard price to do a repair, the industry standard time to do a repair. And that's what they build their price book with. And it's a lot of information that they don't want to give out sometimes because they've done all this extra work to get this information. It's their proprietary information, but sometimes you can back figure how much they're charging and that type of thing. But we've added a couple of new features in the system that will help you dial this in. If you had Profit Rhino originally, when we first got it, it was very plain Jane. You chose a labor rate and an income account, and that was basically all you could dial it in. Now we have some more ways to dial it in for you. So we have the flat rate here. And if you go under more applications and you go to price book, we now have flat rate tiered markups. And we had a lot of contractors ask for this because the markup was the same in the old price book, whether it was a $5 item or if it was a $250 item. And people were having a hard time kind of dialing in their pricing. So they would change their labor rate to kind of get it to the pricing that they wanted it to be. So we've added the tiered markups here. Let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger for you. Okay, so we've got the ability to come in here and go in and choose a percentage based on the cost of the part. So as you can see in this test environment that we have, because we go in here and break it, it gets a little bit ugly sometimes. You can see who's the person that last modified it. You can edit, you can delete, and when you click on these three dots here, you can add a row above or below. So if you wanted to add more tiers in here, you can. So you can go in and choose the price, the markup, and add more in here. So right now we've go from 400% all the way down to 50%. And this may not be what you would charge. So you can set this up to exactly how you would like to do it or on the margin that you would like to get on these items in this tiered cost range. Okay, so that's one way to dial it in. Under subscriptions, so if I go under settings, subscriptions, and then come to additional products, this is where Profit Rhino was turned on for you, or if you signed up for it later. And under edit subscription, you have the ability now Remember when I said you can choose what industry books that you want to see in there? This is where you would choose them. It's one price if you have one industry, it's one price if you have all industries. So you can just check any box that you'd like to have. And we also have separated this out by commercial and residential labor costs and rates. So you can come in here and put in your hourly cost, your hourly rate, and this will also help dial in the price that you're trying to charge. Because like I said, it's a price book that is built, and now you have to tailor it for your work, how you would like to do it, and you know what you normally charge. So you can come in and set these up, go to the example customer, and start adding some items. If it doesn't look right, or if it doesn't come into what your regular pricing normally is, you can come in here and edit these a little bit more and kind of dial it in. Excuse me. You can choose which you tax, parts or labor. You can choose a parts account, a labor income account, and classes. So for your labor and your parts. So this has just come out probably in the last 3 or 4 months, I would say, that you can dial these in. They've been working on it for quite some time. So you can go ahead and add those in there. Now, when I use the air quotation industry standard part cost and industry standard amount of time for the repair, because Profit Rhino is a service, mainly a service price book. If you do installs, you would have to have an install price book. You may be able to find some items in there. I think there's some hot water heaters, there's some different things in there. But for the most part, you're probably going to have your own install price book. So one of the things, I'm going to go to a proposal or an invoice that I already had open. And when you hit add item, there's the price books that we talked about, flat rate price book, QuickBooks item list, your regular one. If I go in and search capacitor, there are some in here, and there's only 2 pages in my price book. But if I go to the flat rate price book and hit last, there's 53 pages of different capacitors in here. And see how there's a heart here? You can go into the price book and you can heart things that will come up under favorites, so that when your techs go in, the items that you use most often will be under favorites and show up first for them. Because if they have to go through here and search 53 pages for the correct capacitor they want, they might not have it in there. You may call it something different. You know, you may call it a turbo cap or something like that, and just put in turbo and not be able to find exactly what they're looking for. They're going to get frustrated. So the easiest way to find something in Profit Rhino is to go to the flat rate folder, go to HVAC, capacitor starts and assists, and I'm going to do my dual start. And there's my 25 by 5. So I can add my 25 by 5 in about 4 clicks. So you can come in and say, okay, 4 clicks, I know exactly what I want. So 165.54 may not be what you normally charge for this repair. And remember, it includes labor. It is the part and the labor to do the service. So you can always click on the pencil and you can change it on the fly. And then once you're done changing it, you click the check mark, and that will save your change. But one of the things that you might want to look at is on the actual description when you open it up. When you're looking at things and you see this T number, that's one of the kind of dead giveaways that this is a Profit Rhino repair that's in here, because that's what they have on all of their descriptions. And you come down here and you see there's the part, the quantity's 1. There's my income account. I can choose my class, but the labor is 0.88 hours. Okay. So it's not a full hour. And I don't know many people that break down the repairs to less than an hour. But if you do, and this 8.88 comes up to the correct price that you're normally going to charge, that'll be fine, because this is an estimate of how much time it takes to do the repair. But when your tech has their appointment and they clock into their appointment and they clock out of their appointment, that is the actual time it takes to do the repair. And you can do job costing with that actual time. So this is just an estimate on time. Okay. So if you need to adjust this, you can go back to those two items that we showed before, the parts markup to try to dial it in, or the labor rate. You may have to adjust it just a hair to dial it in. Okay. And so when I add this to this job form, and I'm going to save it. Oops. Can I put a minimum of 1 hour in? We can't change what is in the setup. It comes from them, and that's, remember I said the air quotation industry standard time to do the repair. It's set that way. You can't go in and change the things that are going to come in from them directly, and they do updates. So even if you could go in and change it to 1 hour, the next time they do an update, and I believe they do those quarterly to make sure that the prices are correct, it would overwrite it and you'd have to go in and change it again, and you may not notice that you weren't charging enough. So you may want to kind of spot check these to see how close they are on your repairs and see if you can dial it in by upping the part cost or that labor cost in there to see if you can get it dialed into where you are. Because if your labor rate is, let's say, $100 an hour and it's 0.88, okay, you may be looking like you're overcharging them. So you may have to pull your labor rate down just a little bit because to get that sweet spot of what you're charging. And if you say that you're giving more time to do it, you may have to go the other way. So it's just a fine balance of dialing it in. And if it's $1 or $2 off, you may not want to even bother with it. And or you just may want to change your labor rate across the board to make up for some of the ones that are the outliers. If there's one or two that kind of looks a little bit off. If something is really, really off and you say, okay, I don't ever want to use that item. Let me show you real quick. You can go into HVAC. You can go to capacitors and start assists. If you click on the arrow down, it's going to show you everything in, but I like clicking on the number so that I can see everything in there and get a little bit more information. So if I came in here, I could hide like a motor, a blower motor that I don't ever want anybody to use. I could hide it and I could also hard it. So if something looks really far out, you may want to hide it and then go to your price book, your regular price book, and create an item for what you truly choose. There shouldn't be a lot of them that are too far out of the range, but you may have several of them that you just can't dial in. You've got everything else dialed in. Like I said, it's big. There's like 15,000 items in here. So if you have one or two that are oddball, I would suggest to go in and create one and let your guys know, hey, the motors were off. We never charge that for those motors. I hid them all, and in a regular price book, this is what we want you to charge for the half horsepower, quarter horse, and so that way you know that you're charging the correct amount. Okay, they shouldn't be too far off. And as you can see here, there's the labor hours. All these capacitors are 0.8. Okay, and it kind of gives you a little idea of how they figure it, right? And remember, we went through pricing defaults yesterday. So if you haven't looked at your pricing defaults, when you go into your more applications price book and go to pricing defaults, I mentioned yesterday that if you come in and add a new pricing default after you've created your price book, you have to go back and manually update those. Not so with Profit Rhino. If you come in here and you change this, it's live. It is live from the minute you change this. So if you're giving a discount or a markup for like after hours overtime, and you come in and you change this and then go down and save it, your Profit Rhino price book is going to update to those discounts automatically. Okay, so don't think that you have to do a support request to get them updated. This is live. Okay, and the other thing that I wanted to show you on the profit and loss, and we have a webinar on profit and loss. It's going to bring in that part cost here. So remember I said you could figure it backwards. They used to didn't show it to us at all, and you had to figure, okay, well there's the labor and there's the time at 0.88. I can back figure how much they were saying the cost of the part was. But we've made some strides with them. We now have the tiered markup and the labor, and they are now allowing us to bring this price into the job costing so that you can see what they are figuring that part costs you. Okay. And so if this part, you come in and look at this part and you say, okay, that's not what I have to pay for it. I have to pay $50 for this. Now you know you got to go back and adjust that price because you're not going to make enough money on it. Okay. When I said that they clock in and out of the job, the 0.88 is an estimate to do this repair. When they clock in and out of the job, that labor rate that you put on your user times the time on the appointment brings it in here so that you have a labor cost and you can see if you made money on that or not. And like I said, we have another webinar for that, but I'll do a quick show you where to put that labor cost if you haven't already done it. So you go to settings, user management, users, and on each user, there is a labor cost. I pick on Maria a lot, she's on the top. And you would come in and put the labor cost here. This is what they cost you, not what you charge your customer. So if you have a helper who makes $10 an hour and you give him vacation, sick time, healthcare, anything, you can add that all in there. They may cost you $40 or $50. You would put that in there, and when they clock in and out of the appointments, that will be brought in on the job time here. Okay. See if there's anything. Oh, that's the other thing that I wanted to show you. So when you go to Profit Rhino, I always keep saying that there's industry standard prices. They do have some OEM parts in here. They don't have all of them, but they do have some. So you can come in and hit OEM and you can search by manufacturer and see some items in here as well. Now, remember, these are industry standard pricing. You may have to adjust these because let's say if you're a Linux dealer and you purchase a bazillion systems with them, they're going to give you better prices than somebody who just buys a Linux blower motor once in a while when they have to service a Linux item. So you're going to get better pricing. So keep that in mind when you take a look in here. And Linux is in here. There's 1,083 things in here, items in here that you can go take a look at, and you can see those items. And you can also search for those, okay? They have a number. So see how these don't have T numbers? They have different numbers, but you can search expansion valve and pull in all expansion valves. And the Linux ones will show in there as well. But just wanted to let you know that these are an option in here. And just double check the pricing to make sure that it's in line with the pricing that you get from your distributor and what you're charging. Does anybody else have any other questions about Profit Rhino? This one's a pretty quick one because we went through the main part of the price book yesterday. Or if you have any questions about the price book that you missed yesterday. Did see one other thing that I forgot to show everybody yesterday that I'm going to add into the price book one. When you have, this is the regular price book that I'm talking about now. So when you go into my price book, and like I said, if you have a diagnostic or if you have something that's unique to you, you can go in and put it in here and hit add product and start the process. But I forgot to tell you guys yesterday that you can also do this from a job form. So if you're building your price book, you can kind of do double duty and not waste time creating it in the price book and then coming back and adding it to your job form. You can come in here and hit add item, and you can go to your price book folders and you can say, let's see, this is where I'm in here with my service, and I can add a new product here and it brings up the same screen so that you can choose to add your part, your labor, or your bundle here. When you add it here, because you created it in that folder, it's going to save it in that folder so it'll be there for you to use next time. So no wasted effort on that. It will be in here, and all you have to do is go to the folder. If you search by the item, this add new product won't show up, but if you go by the folder, it will. And if for some reason you put it in, let's see, a category, you can put it in more than one category. See how it automatically defaults to the category. If you decide you want to move it, you create it here and you want it someplace else, all you have to do is close this out, go search the other category, and it'll move it. You don't have to recreate the part in another category or delete it from here and then go create it. You just move it.
I do have one question.
Sure.
I'm new to your program.
Hmm.
We're moving over from another one.
Okay.
When you were showing the looking at your pricing folders where the pictures of like the motors and the capacitors and so forth popped up,
Hmm.
that's not available to the guys that are using the mobile app out in the field.
Okay.
It doesn't. Go
Mhm.
ahead.
So when you put the price book, like if I went in here, let me find my price book. It's 20, it's right around in here, 2026. I'm going to go to service. When you add a picture, are you talking Profit Rhino or are you talking the one that you've built?
Yeah, inside of Profit Rhino, when
Hmm.
you go into a customer and you one thing that caught my attention was you said that this was the best way to look up your parts,
Hmm.
and you clicked a thing. I know you can do it on the actual desktop computer. It shows
Hmm.
pops up pictures of a capacitor. It's a picture of condenser motors, and you click on the capacitor, and then it breaks it down even further for you. But that's not available in the mobile. There you go, right there. That's not
This one.
available on the mobile side.
They're going to see it listed. They're going to see the
Right, it's a
folders
list. It's
listed.
not.
Yeah, they're not going to see the
Yeah.
pictures, so they're going to see the list.
So that list, that what you're seeing right there is not available on the mobile site. It's just available on the desktop, I
It
guess is
is
my question.
Um, I don't believe it's by picture because consider,
Yeah,
okay, we're going from a screen down to a phone, right? Because the app has
sure.
to work on the phone. I don't believe it goes there. I believe it is
Okay.
just a list. So you would see the flat rate folders in like
Right. Okay.
let's see, probably like back over here. They're going to see the list like this.
Yeah,
They're going to see it
that's
listed.
what they see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just making sure there wasn't a toggle that I didn't have turned on or something for
No,
them to be
no,
able to.
it's
Okay.
a size constraint because it's like, okay,
Sure.
they um they couldn't build it in with all of the photos and still meet the size constraints for the mobile app. Some of the phones I've seen, poor babies, some of the techs who have phones with the cracked screen that they've had for 7 or 8
Right.
years.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, and then there is the fat finger issue, right? So being able to touch everything and being able to get everything in there. But yes, you're correct.
Okay.
It is not the pictures. And one of the other things that I wanted to mention is there are pictures on these and on, let's see if I added this one. Okay, so the picture doesn't show up here, right?
Hmm.
And so when you do a proposal, you have the option of having a featured image on a proposal. So anything that has a picture in a price book, so you could go in and hit featured and images from price book. And so it has a picture when you're choosing it from online, but it doesn't have a picture on the item. So it doesn't
Okay.
show up here. But you can have an image library where you can add all kinds of things in here. We have, this is the test thing, so please, I don't know. There could be superheroes in here. There could be other things in here. I try to use a purple donkey, but so because nobody else is going to
All
use a
right.
purple donkey. But if you have an image, a stock image, you can add it onto the proposal of a system. And if on your regular price book you add an image, it will be here for you to choose to add on the
Okay.
proposal so that when you go to the build, some lines are missing
All
in,
right.
but yes, I want to continue. It will show up as an image on here. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or anything else I can do to help? Now, if you're new and you haven't gone through Mark's webinars as well, he goes into quite a bit of detail as well. Mine are kind of, you should almost know a little bit about the features before we start dialing them in. So I go a little bit faster than he does. So under here, if you go down to video courses and webinars, this is where the training calendar is for the main, I don't want to say beginner because we've all been in business for a long time, but as far as starting with the software, XFSM, these are all of the items that he goes over and he does two a day, and his are recorded as well. They show up down below. Those are your tasks if you haven't done your tasks. There's courses in here, and his previous recordings are back here for his webinars. Now, mine, they buried a little bit so that the people who are starting didn't get like lost and go to mine first. And mine is Solution Studio. And you go to Advanced Working Sessions and Learning, tells you a little bit about it. Then you come back down, and that's where my calendar is. I'm going to be off a couple of days next week. So there are some replays that you can watch, but that is how you find those to get signed up. And let's see, tomorrow is Wednesday. Let's see what we've got on the schedule for tomorrow is the 7th, 8th. We're going to be doing financing. So we'll be going over how to incorporate financing so that you can drive the revenue for your business up a little bit. If you guys haven't signed up for financing with any of our partners so that it's integrated into the system, you can always go into settings, subscriptions, and it's under payment options. And you can see the lenders that we work with. And there's some information about them and also how to go ahead and click on the plus. There will be a plus here if you wanted to sign up for them and start the application process with them. Okay. Anything else I can do for you today? Okay.
Nope,
Thank you.
I'm good.
Thank you. I'm so glad to see you guys both again today. Are you coming back tomorrow?
A question on the financing, I guess.
Mhm.
Do these different financing services have different fees, or are they all pretty much the same?
Okay, so when you have a financing partner and you sign up for them, you will have a rate sheet. So when you have you sell a loan to somebody or you book a loan application with them and they sign up, there's a contractor fee that they pay, that they charge. And so go back in here, see if this is set up because I think this is one of the things that we in the test account they were messing with. So I'm not sure it's going to load. It didn't the first time I looked at it. They may have gone back in and fixed it. But under payment options, financing, manage loan options, there will be a place that will load all of the loans from that partner. And then you can pick and choose which ones by the contractor fee that you want to offer. You don't have to offer all of them. You can choose ones, and I've seen some that go down from 0% all the way up to 17 or 18%. Yeah, this isn't going to load. Because it's not really live with the partners right now. But you can click on that box and say, okay, I want to offer the one that's maybe 2%. And then there's another box that you check that will say, okay, I want to offer this to self-serve. So I can put it on a proposal and the customer can actually click on that link and sign up from it, or you can give them the link and they can sign up directly so that you don't have to be standing over them while they're entering their credit card information and everything else like that, right?
Right,
So if
right.
you offer it to self-service, they can do that themselves. But
Okay.
I
Okay.
got out of my window. But there's some articles. If you go down and you search financing, um, there's some more articles in here and it'll tell you about how to get set up, the rate sheets and how it all works. And let's see all of the different partners and what they might require.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.